pretty things, dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things. Welcome to the 4th episode of Miss May's Dirty, Pretty Things, where we talk, or I talk at least for now, and express some of those things that I would like to possibly have a reasoning about, or some kind of exchange of ideas or debate at some moment in the future. If those people who are so opinionated about everything and everybody would be willing to have some kind of dialogue with somebody like me who has opinions and is not afraid by challenges of dealing with other people's opinions. So in this 4th rendition or episode of the Dirty Pretty Things, there are some subjects that I have not necessarily written a list of, but some subjects that I have wanted to express more than others. So moving forward from the last episode where I was talking about those people who don't want to let go and how damaging it can be when someone is not willing to work with the natural order of things and allow things to progress and evolve in their own life and in the lives of those people who they claim to care for or love even. So on this episode of The Dirty Pretty Things, I am now touching on a subject that I know a lot of people can relate to. A lot of people have had issues with this, and I'm not the only one, but some people are still hiding from the truth and still hiding the truth and still don't want anyone to know and are afraid of other people's opinions and their judgment. And I'm not surprised, because the way how the public has taken on such a powerful persona right now, it would seem as if we are all being prosecuted by all of these self-appointed public prosecutors that want to go around judging everybody else, but who don't want to deal with their own medicine and face any questions even about their own mistakes. So the subject that I would like to bring into the light today, into this forum today, is about when you're living with someone in a serious situation, whether married or common law or otherwise. You're living together, okay? And this person, unbeknown to you, obviously you would probably find out later at some point in the timeline, you find out that this person who was living with you, especially in my situation, you're living with someone who's not being financially resilient, not being financially responsible. They're not keeping up their half of the bills and the rent and all of these things, and they're always making excuses and falling behind when it comes to, money. And this is not a relationship that was founded about money or anything. You've been through some rough times together, ups and downs, but you wouldn't expect that this person that you're living with and sharing your everything with, sharing your life, sharing your space with, accommodating in ways, because no matter how much you love someone, there are going to be things about them that you don't like. Could be they have some bad habits. Could be they snore and it keeps you up at night time. Could be other things they do. So you find out afterwards that this person was not only falling short of their responsibilities, but what they were doing is raising a family out there somewhere that you didn't know about at your expense. So you're doing what some society would say, oh, you're taking care of your responsibilities, you have children, and of course the welfare of the child is paramount, and he's been a good father trying to take care of his responsibility. But that's not okay if you're living with someone as a partner and you haven't told them about that, and you plan to deny them what they're due, which is even the truth. You deny them what they're due in terms of the financial responsibility because you have a child or children to support, and you don't tell them anything about it. So you're taking advantage of somebody else so that you can then raise your children. So you're putting that person down and not only degrading that person, not respecting that person, but you're also doing what you're doing, raising your family at the expense of somebody else, at the detriment of somebody else. And it seems to me that quite a lot of people who are parents, as far as they're concerned, they do whatever they have to do to take care of their children because that's their responsibility. But I am not for 1 minute going to support, and I hope that there are other people out there who agree, whether parents or not, that it's not okay to expect other people to be at a detriment so that you can raise your own family and your own children. And there's all different ways that you can try to dress it up and make it seem like it's okay. But before you go ahead and, well, people don't do family planning, do they? But really and truly, people should do family planning and plan how they're going to afford to take care of your children before you start thinking that it's now okay to rob other people of their rights, to rob other people of their resources, to take advantage of other people and put people down because you're going to use the children as an excuse. No, it isn't okay. This is Miss May telling it like it is on the Dirty Pretty Things episode 4. Pretty things, dirty pretty things, dirty pretty things. Dirty Pretty Things episode 4 continued. So, as I was saying, you have some people who seem to want to support the idea that some people should use their children as a weapon because now that they have the children, they have all rights to pursue whatever they need to pursue, whatever genders they want to pursue, so that they can make certain that their children have what they need in order to grow and develop. However, I do believe, and I'm not going to get into the parenting issues of better parenting and good parenting guide on this particular episode of the Dirty Pretty Things, because that is opening up a whole different can of worms, which I do not feel that it would be beneficial to me to get into that on this particular episode. However, it's not something that I am shying away from, and it's not something that I don't have enough experience or valid opinions that would be worthy of entering into a debate, especially with my experience of early childhood and teaching. I have seen a lot of things that have been very, very worrying to me and concerning to me when I see how it is that people grow their children and how it is that they socialize them and educate them, and how much of a detrimental effect that can have on their abilities to relate to other people their own age and to their teachers in the classroom situation, where you can start to see that proper guidance hasn't been given, proper boundaries have not been set, which can then go on into becoming big problems later on in life, especially when you've had experience of teaching, as I have. So putting that aside, I am speaking directly now about just the subject of when people go and they have children and they raise their children in a manner where they believe that they have to do whatever they need to do to defend their rights. And oftentimes they may not think about the type of behaviors that they are effectively promoting and encouraging for other people to follow, and also for their children to learn from them. So in terms of the subject of when a man goes outside of his relationship, getting back to the core of what I was speaking about, a man that you are living with and in a serious relationship goes outside and has a child or has more than one child with another person and does not tell you and is continuing to support that family at your detriment. Society oftentimes wants to get involved in situations that they are not actually taking responsibility for. So when other people have their opinions on what this man should or shouldn't be doing, let me ask you something. Put your money where your mouth is. Are you going to contribute anything financial, or you just have these opinions and you think that your opinions are so valid? Sometimes some people need to learn to MYOB, which is standing for mind your own business, because many of you all who have so much things to say don't have a dollar or a pound or an even penny to contribute, not even a cent. So moving back to what I was saying and keeping my focus, because oftentimes I find it really difficult when it comes to certain subjects, considering all of the different angles and perspectives and all of the opinions. To stay focused sometimes is a task in itself. You can go outside and have a one night stand. You could even have a 2 minute quickie and it can bring forth life. Sometimes it doesn't take a whole hour even or a whole night. Sometimes you're not even in a relationship with someone. At times, I don't know because I haven't done analysis and I'm not a biological scientist and I didn't do the statistics to support whether it's actually easier to go outside, bust a juice, end up getting somebody pregnant. But it would seem that sometimes I've heard of people who've been in relationships for years and for whatever reason they may be compatible, but biologically there's some issue with a husband and a wife or a long-term partner. Sometimes they're trying but they're not getting anywhere, and or they're losing, the pregnancy is not going full term. And you hear it over and over again that you have couples that have issues with being able to bring forth children within the relationship, but yet when a man or a woman goes outside and you don't particularly even like the person, it can happen, boom, just like that, you have one outside. However, what I'm trying to bring forth into this debate, hopefully at some point later we may be able to debate it, or I'm airing in my personal podcast, my personal opinions, is that so this woman goes outside with this man, or this man goes outside with this woman, and they have a one night stand or they have a quickie and in a party. It could be anywhere, it could be anything. Sometimes it may even be that a man pays a woman for a quick transactional sex and they didn't use protection or something burst. Condoms can burst, they're not 100%. No type of form of birth control is 100%, and something happens. I don't know if you would want to call that a miracle, but something happens. And in the midst of that now, this person who is outside of your steady relationship now becomes more of a powerful figure to you because they have managed to bring forth a life, whereas your wife or your main squeeze, your main woman, hasn't. Now, what I would like to pose as a question in this debate now, or this debate that may become more of a debate in the future when I am actually able to engage some other persons in this discussion. Now, this person who has conceived and manages to go full term and bring forth this child, this person is now more important than the woman who you spent years with, who was there for you through ups and downs and shared everything with you. Just automatically, just like that, you push out a child, one child, and all of a sudden they're in pole position. I want to know for sure if people are really thinking about what it is that they're saying and supporting. Dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things. Dirty, Pretty Things, episode 4. So yeah, the man go and he managed to conceive with somebody else. It could have taken half a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I want to know, people, think. You can't just support things without giving it proper thorough thought and analysis. This person could not have any relationship with this man. They don't have any friendship. Nothing at all. Just that they so happen to share a moment and life was formed in that moment. Are you going to tell me that without proper analysis, without thought, without looking at the evidence, without looking at the history, you are going to automatically give precedence to a woman who has a child with a man, whatever label you want to call him, baby mother or whatever, over the man's main partner who he has been with since whenever, maybe since school days, maybe for 5-10 years, who has invested, who they are invested together. This is something that I have seen occur over and over again. And as a man said to me, even himself, sometimes it doesn't take much for a youth to come out of a situation. Sometimes it can be very quick. Sometimes it's not the best situation or the best intercourse even. It can just happen just like that. Sometimes it isn't even the person who you even like very much. Sometimes you may not have even found them that attractive. It may have been just that there was a moment and we all, it could have been under the influence. Going back to the first episode when I was talking about things that happen when people are under the influence, there are so many ways that it can just happen to be almost like an accident. And yes, sometimes out of those situations, beautiful things can come out of terrible situations. There's always, I find in my life, something good that can occur if you are able to learn from your mistakes. There's always a dark and a light side to everything. So if you even make a mistake, if you are a creative being and you're well balanced, you can always find something good out of everything. There's always the good and the bad, and there's always something to learn in every situation. But if we cannot have the intelligence to really look at a situation and to look at it from different angles and perspectives and see the dark and see the light and see it altruistically, to see it in holistically totality of what it really is. If we just jump to conclusions, if we just jump to label things, in fact, if we just jump to get involved in other people's business where we are not invested, by using our opinions to create situations where we're making judgments of what something is based on our perception, which might be based on very superficial information and not looking at things very deeply, then who are we to get involved in matters that are really going to affect somebody else's life, going to affect people's life that may be irreparable, going to affect the development of that child, going to affect that entire family unit, because you want to have an opinion about something based on superficial information that is not very detailed, that, oh, but this man has a child with this woman, so therefore that means what? So what does that mean? So therefore you're going to assume you were there. I really would like to encourage people in this world right now, especially with all of the conflicts going on right now, to just detach yourself from having an opinion about everything, to just neutral and don't feed into the conflicts. MYOB. I said it at the last thing I said at the end of the last episode. MYOB. Mind your own business. If it isn't necessary for you to comment, if it isn't something that's going to bring any if it's not going to be, what is the word, profitable, if it's not going to bring any profit to you, if there isn't any need, why comment? Why even say something? Why get involved in other people's business, especially where it relates to the building and the development of families where you are not entitled? This is Miss May on the Dirty Pretty Things, episode 4. Sometimes I may not be succinct because I'm not writing a script. I'm speaking this from within, from what it is that I am genuinely feeling. And I'm hoping that one day these podcast episodes may turn into something that is more of a discussion where we can actually reason about these things and move forward with a greater understanding of each other as people in this world, so that we can relate to each other better than this. God bless you all. Until the next episode, this is Miss May. Dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty.